started.
Yeah, Gord, I don't see your, I don't see it.
I started streaming. It says it's live now.
Got it.
Okay, here we go.
All right, I'm sharing this in my community tab right now. Let's see how this works.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome. It's Gord here. It's Sunday morning, and it's a very special morning for me for several reasons. First, number one, I have the awesome Nick Nimmin joining us today, and we're going to be talking about YouTube niche strategies for 2018, and how fitting would it be on this day that I also just passed the 2,000 subscriber level. And I'm very excited about that. And I just, before we get going, I just wanted to say hi to everyone. And here we are with Nick. Can everyone see Nick and Gord? I just want to confirm that everything looks clear to everybody. Be nice to hear.
What I'm seeing, Gord.
I'm hearing.
What I'm seeing, Gord.
Video.
Yeah, it's all it's frozen is what I'm seeing on my end, Gord. I don't know if you're seeing the same thing on yours or not, but I'm seeing that on the preview screen, and I'm seeing that over there as well. And you're still sharing your screen with me as well.
Oh, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And this is the beauty of live, folks. This right here. Yeah, this is the beauty of live streaming right here. Is these little tech things, just like the one that I had yesterday during my live stream as well. It's the little tech things that really, that really give it the beauty, the whole organic thing. Like, hey, this is live. Mistakes happen, tech problems happen, things come up. That's just the realities of it, and you just have to kind of work around that stuff, right, Gord?
Yeah, I think we're good now. Cause I can see it in the stream, and everybody saying, yeah. So, phew. Well, I've had at least one kind of mishap or something that slowed up the start in each time that I've come out, but this time it was troubleshooted faster than ever. So that's all good. So I'm really happy, and thank you, everyone. And so I'll just sort of pedal back again just to let everybody know. So I'm here with Nick, and it's a special honor, Nick. Thank you so much. And
my pleasure, Gord. Thank you, man.
And it was great that you shared that we were going to have this talk yesterday, and I think I started the day yesterday at 1,959 subscribers, and today, boom! I said, wouldn't it be cool if I made 2,000? Around the time I got on air with Nick, and it happened. So I mean, that was awesome. A lot of people came over from your nice long live stream and joined up. So I'm so happy that we're here to do this today. So. And Nick, you're blowing past 142K subs. I mean, like, wasn't 100,000 not long ago?
Yeah, the 100,000 right now. My current pace is I was up in the 17,000 plus, like 17,005 per month, and then I just dropped down to like the 16ish range, and I'll probably drop to around 15, maybe 14 and a half this month because of the stuff that I made last month, but. We'll see. I'm gonna have to lean on some specific topics that are always hot in order to bring those numbers back up for next month.
Oh, that's awesome, and I just think it's great. I mean, I loved the whole experience on your live stream yesterday, and the trivia part just blew my mind. The engagement and fun that was. So I mean, kudos to you for all the cool things that you're bringing to the community, and people get to enjoy, and you're making it fun. You and Dee are doing an awesome job. I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Gordon. And I'm actually going to lean that on D. That's not mine. Like the trivia thing, like he came up with that. That was totally his brainchild, so to speak. Like pretty much everything that you see happening on the live stream since I've, moved over to that new environment, most of that, people are telling me, they're like, hey, Nick, the new set looks great. Hey, Nick, I love how you're structuring things and all that stuff. But credit's got to be given where credit is due. All of that is primarily D. He's he's the one that is putting that. He built the studio. It was his idea to even do the studio in the first place. And with the trivia, and he's constantly working on different ways to make everything better and to make it a little bit more entertaining for everybody and all that stuff. So he's really rocking it out. I have to give that credit to him in terms of the reason that the show is a lot cooler now than it used to be.
Oh, that's great. I mean, I really enjoy it. And so let's start in today to get into the deeper part of what we're going to discuss. But first, before we get going, let's just say a quick hello. We got a bunch of people in here. So I see there's Lily Tree, Michael Daniels, Rising Blue Phoenix, Brian G. Welcome, Brian. Thank you.
Brian G in the house.
Hey, we have a moderator. Brian G. I got to remember to start to set up more people as moderators, and I'm just not used to it to a chat room being populated like this, so it's kind of really cool. And Beanie Draws is here. He's a regular on your lives all the time. A lot of these people, this British cook, awesome, and this is really cool. And just wanted to say hi and welcome to everybody, and let's dive in. Okay.
All right.
So today our topic is about YouTube niche strategies for 2018. And what I'd like to do, Nick, if we could just go through, we're going to go through, cover some different angles from the person that's just starting out, plus get to the level of dealing with someone like me who's been at it for a few years now, and contemplating pivoting or how I'm adjusting things. So we're going to cover the gamut. So there's a little bit in here for everybody. And what I thought I'd do first, let's just get clarity on what the definition of niche is. So, sort of like the dictionary look I got here, a place or position suitable or appropriate for a person or thing. So, for example, to find one's niche in the business world. So in our case, contextually, we're trying to find out, the niche could be the niche in the business world, but we're now trying to execute and utilize the platform of YouTube to help it fit into our bigger picture. So what I wanted to for just as a high level general question, do I need to establish a niche focus to go on YouTube, or is it okay to be scattered? From a general perspective, I mean, we're going to dive into this a little deeper, but what's your opinion? Because people come with different motivations, right?
And I think that's what it comes down to is I think that it's not necessarily, you should do this or you should do that. I think it's more about what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Like if you're trying to generate faster channel growth, then your view to subscribe ratio is going to be higher if all of your content fits into the interests of the people that are watching each video. Right. So like on my channel, as an example, or your channel, Gord, somebody watches, one video, say they come for like a YouTube tip, right? They're trying to figure out how to do something on their YouTube channel. And then they go to my channel page. Literally every single video that is on my YouTube channel, if somebody watches any video on my YouTube channel and they're trying to do anything with video or YouTube, they're going to get something from literally every single video on my channel. That creates more binge watch sessions, that creates more people coming back over and over and over again, in addition to people saying right out of the gate, wow, there's so much stuff here. This is fantastic. I need to come back and watch a lot of this, but I don't have time right now. So I'm going to go ahead and subscribe now so that I can come back and watch more of this stuff.
Right.
So there's that side of it, in terms of actually, creating it for the sake of building that trap, so to speak, for that particular topic. And then there's the other side of it, like this is the niche side is the, hey, I want to try to grow this quickly side. And then there's the other side of it that says, hey, I just want to put up some DIY solar and wind. What's going on? But it's like, hey, I want to put up this content here so that I can, I just want a place to put this stuff. So I just want to put up topics that I'm interested in. Maybe I have a vlog here. Maybe I have a how to fix a car motor here. Maybe I have how to, how the best way to get, ink off of a shirt in this video, and all this scattered content you might have some particular videos that take off, but your view to subscriber ratio is going to be in the toilet, so to speak, because you're not targeting the interests of those people that are coming in and watching every single video.
Right. So this gets to and I'm going to share. Beanie Draws says, I'm of the opinion that if you don't know what you want to do on YouTube, you're going to be doing it as a hobby. People, unfortunately, take the hobby and expect it to be serious. So this gets to the point when I'm saying a lot of people feel they have this like sensationalized, glamorous feel about being like a star to come out on YouTube. And, you know, I firmly believe that, you know, whether it's your business and your brand, or whether it's your personal message, or you're passionate about a hobby, you know, you need to not just get caught up in YouTube famous in the concept.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think so many people,
and that falls back on the idea of what is it that you're actually trying to accomplish. So like if you're approaching YouTube as a business and you're trying to generate business from it, you're going to take a totally different approach than you are if you're approaching YouTube and you're trying to be a superstar. Right? It's two totally different avenues that you take to accomplish that, and because of it, you structure everything that you do in the direction of achieving that particular goal. If it's sales, if it's leads, if it's if it's building your subscriber base quickly, it's structuring everything to lead you in that direction.
Yeah, and some people come because they think that they have this illusion of getting grand wealth from AdSense revenue quickly, and they just you know what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to get to the idea that some people don't appreciate how much work is really required to succeed on YouTube and execute for whatever that why is we're talking about. And I think that gets often overlooked. I'm sure, like when you're dealing with your clients on consulting, do you have to do some of that addressing their sort of alignment with what they may have thought they were coming in with, and hey, this is how YouTube's going to help you, like help them get a little clarity on that?
Every time. And that's because a lot of people put like if you're working with a person who is trying to grow like a personal brand or their personal influence, it's a different thing than if somebody is coming in and they're like, hey, I have this particular company and I want to spread awareness about this company, right? You have the two different approaches that you're going to take, just like I was saying a little bit ago. But the problem that often happens is you have people that you work with that are coming from the company side, and they're looking at vanity metrics as the real thing to success, or the real metric for success that they're going to lean on. But at the end of the day, if you have 10,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel, but you're not converting those subscribers or those viewers into sales, if you're approaching YouTube as a business, then you have a useless audience, so to speak, in terms of achieving the goal that you're after. But if you have 1,000 subscribers and you're converting those subscribers into sales, then that 1,000 subscribers is a lot more valuable to you than the 10,000 subscribers that you have that are not converting. Yeah. So it's figuring out. Yeah, so it's figuring out, hey, this is what I'm trying to accomplish, and then defining the metrics that you're going to keep in place in terms of, hey, this is how we're going to gauge success. It's not going to be on necessarily a view count or subscriber count. It's going to be on how many trackable links or how many trackable clicks are we generating from our YouTube channel to our website. You know what I mean? Like that would be a better metric than, hey, how many subscribers have we generated? Of course, you also want to generate subscribers. Of course, you always want to generate views, because all of that stuff does kind of help, feed into the whole, so to speak, of what it is that you're trying to do. But at the end of the day, again, if you're doing it for business, but you're not converting anything, then you're essentially wasting all of that time and effort to where you could be focusing on the right thing and generating what it is that you're after. Yeah.
I have to interrupt for a second. I'm numb because I'm seeing super chats on the screen, and I can't say thank you enough to everybody. Jen Adventures, very kind, and I gotta reverse the chat roll here to catch up. Jen Adventures, thank you very much, and DIY Solar and Wind, holy smokes, $20, that's amazing. Thank you so much, everyone.
Nice.
Rising Blue Phoenix, awesome. Thank you, everyone. That's so kind. Greatly appreciate it. And so to me, Nick, a lot of it has to do with alignment, and I think people come in with expectations that's what we're saying. Like they're a little out of sync, because people come in and they'll say to you, hey, what do I got to do to get so many subs? And then they use and views, and they think about, their success in those metrics that people are so often talking about. And this gets to the next point: is YouTube should not just be looked as a place where you want to execute on for your niche. It should be is it part of a business or a hobby? So meaning, I mean, you've gone through this, but I'm just trying to say it fits into a bigger picture, and YouTube is just one of the platforms out there. So I think we should draw some attention, because there are people that come to YouTube and I'm doing affiliate marketing, and I've got to do all these videos on products and different kinds of things, and I need to, they're looking at it as a piece to the puzzle to do stuff outside. So what is your experience been in terms of helping people find direction on how to not just only focus on YouTube as the platform, that they should be building something a little more outside of that this is just one piece to the puzzle? How do you
the approach? Yeah, the approach that you take with that is you just start with the end in mind. What is it that you're trying to do? Right. Just like with anything, right? Like, let's say, as an example, let's say that you are, you're going to the gym, and let's say that you're going to the gym because maybe you're not trying to lose weight, but you're trying to increase your muscle mass, right? And when you're defining that, you say, okay, I'm going to the gym and I'm trying to increase my muscle mass, but every single week you're like, I'm losing weight, but muscle weighs more than fat, and I'm not actually gaining muscle. So the things that I'm doing here are wrong. It's not leading me towards what I'm trying to accomplish. Right. But if you're doing all of it, and then that tells you, hey, I need to change my workout schedule, right? Because you have that end goal in mind. You know what it is you're trying to accomplish. But if you come in and you're like, hey, yeah, I'm getting swolled up, I'm doing exactly what it is that I'm setting out to do. I'm getting that, extra muscle, my weight's going up. And my muscle mass overall is increasing, then you know that the exercises that you're doing and the diet that you're on and all that stuff, that you're doing all of the right things in order to achieve that end goal that you have. So it's the same exact idea. It's like, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, if you can define what that is, then you can just build a roadmap to it. And that sounds simple, but at the end of the day, that's exactly what it is you say, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. So how do I reverse engineer that and make content in a way that is going to lead me to that end goal?
Yeah, I think that's such a cool analogy, because I went through this whole cycle of weight loss, and I know how my routines were before. I knew where I wanted to be, and I knew what made me comfortable and have fun at the gym, and it wasn't really what I needed to do in order to get to where I wanted to go. So having to find my way to adapt and change, and that's a great point, like paralleling that to YouTube. And I remember watching on a podcast that Jamie Noodleman did with you. I think you were just starting out at the gym back then, or getting into a new routine for yourself. So so I think I get that.
Which I'll say that I've faltered on, by the way.
Well, since Vid Summit, I haven't really gone back to the gym with any regularity, but I've only put back a small amount of weight, so I'm grateful for that. It snowed again last night here. I'm just waiting for the nice weather to come to enjoy the walks outside, because that was what was my dream. And by the way, thank you, Michael Daniels, for that nice super chat. And I must give Michael a shout out, because this beautiful setup that I have today in OBS is thanks to him, and I'm really grateful. It just it all worked out, and he spent a lot of time helping me to tune this up. So it's cool to look cool. It's cool to look cool, sort of.
Sure, absolutely.
And okay, so I see. Next, I wanted let's take this to research. The concept of research for your niches. So there are things like Google Keyword Planner tool, the search engines. What do you advise people to do that come in and say, hey, Nick, I want to do affiliate marketing on something, or I want to do some sort of vlogging. I'm not entirely sure. Like, how do you recommend that they go about doing their research work? What kind of tools or assets do you recommend that they explore?
The first thing that I recommend in a situation where somebody's trying to define the niche that they're going to be moving into, the first thing that I recommend, and this sounds kind of crazy, but it's effective, is to sit down and write down like 100, 200, maybe even 300 video ideas, so that you know that what it is that you're actually moving into, you're going to be able to make the content to support it. Because, like if you start out and you have this idea, like, hey, I want to do this, particular thing, go into this particular niche or whatever, but 6 months down the road, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to make this next video on in order to keep this whole thing rolling. Then you've shot yourself in the foot. But if you can get that plan out of the way first, and you can come up with all of those different video ideas, and that, hey, you know what I mean? I've got, 200 ideas, and I'm uploading, 2 or 3 times a week. So that's going to last me a while, and I can make modifications to these and spin off of these or whatever. But I've exhausted at least 200 ideas, so that I know that I'm going to be able to do this long term. It's something that I'm going to be able to, and that I'm going to be able to sustain.
I think
in addition to
brilliant. I'll comment on that after. Go ahead. In addition.
Okay. But in addition to that, there's also, researching the other people in the space. That's important too, because, you want to look at them, you want to see the type of responses they're getting. You want to see how they're doing things, because maybe, if there's a niche as a person, not as a business, but as a person, if there's a niche that you're trying to get into, maybe the way that things are operating in that niche might not be the way that you want to do things. Or maybe it's to where you see, hey, if I'm going to be making this type of content, I need to make sure that I'm at least doing these particular things in order to kind of sync up with what's going on in that particular industry. Or on the flip side, you can make that identification and say, you know what, this is what I'm going into, but everybody in this particular industry seems to be doing like this kind of thing.
Right.
And I think I might be able to do it better. So because of that, then I'm going to take what it is that they're doing, and I'm going to apply this little bit of a spin to it. So one, that's going to help me stand out, and it's going to help me, maybe up the game, so to speak, in that particular space.
These are great points, because I'm kind of laughing inside, because I still, even though I cover what I cover, I'll look at videos and ideas, and I could write something down today. I could even do whatever research I wanted to do to finalize it and position the video. And I could wake up the next morning and go, you know what? I don't think I want to do this one. You know what I mean? So it's something I find as a creator, I kind of battle as I go. And it's really up to our audience to decide ultimately that kind of content. And we need to experiment and put the stuff out there. But that's a great idea, because you don't really know you're building something until you've really thought, I got to produce 100 videos, and that's only going to be, next whatever period of time. If you can't get by that basic exercise, then, you got a lot of soul searching to do in order to you're not gonna build a nice big house, a nice big strong sturdy house without some type of plan. And that content, and getting that content and getting that content together in terms of what it is that you're actually going to make, and the topics you're going to cover, and how you're going to do it, and all of that stuff is part of the foundational elements of making sure that you have a nice, strong, secure house. Yeah, those are great points. So the next angle on this that I wanted to try and cover was, okay, so whether I'm something like someone who wants to do a comedy channel, or I want to be do a beauty channel, or I'm a gamer, or I'm a vlogger, I need to find out what I need to do to compete in that niche. And I'm saying some niches may be more saturated and deeper, some may not be as intense. And I recall Brian Birch, someone who left a comment today, that asked a question offline. So, like, what does it take? Like, some of these things to compete, you may need to do some crazy stuff in your production in order to be able to position yourself. And so, this again comes into expectations and alignment. But some people may not be able to produce production quality and things like right off, and everybody's got to get started somewhere. So what advice would you give to get going in terms of how to manage, should I be producing weekly? Do I have to do X times a week because these other guys or gals are doing it? And, how do I get that formula started so that I'm going to start to build something? I'm the kind of person, I throw it all in my head, and it's like a kitchen sink mess. But what advice would you give to people to start out to go tackle that?
My advice is to start, of course, start right now, and then make as much content as you can possibly make, because the only way that you're gonna work yourself through those hurdles, as far as, hey, my production, hey, my know-how in terms of how to edit this stuff, my know-how in terms of how to optimize my videos for search and all that stuff, the only way that you're going to fine-tune all that stuff is by making a lot of content, right? Because the more content that you make, every single piece of content that you put out, you're creating another opportunity for yourself to learn more. So even though you might not start out with, you know, the best quality content that's out there, the fact that you're starting that learning process, right? Yes. So, you know, like nobody starts out and says, oh, okay, well, hey, I'm just going to pick up this camera. I'm not going to read the instruction manual. I'm just going to turn this puppy on and I'm going to go for it. And then all of a sudden they're ginormous, right? I mean, there's learning curves that you have to go through. And some of that is tech related. Some of it is platform related. Some of it is getting your videos discovered. Some of it is just your overall, you know, hey, how do I want to express myself when I'm making these videos? How do I want to approach the camera, so to speak? How do I want to present so that I can, you know, kind of let people know who I am, what it is that I'm about? Do I want to work off of a script and be kind of stiff? Do I want to work off of bullet points and have just kind of a loose outline and freestyle the rest? Do I want to go 100% freestyle and just talk about things as they come out so that I have that fully natural thing happening? I mean, you know, you have to fine tune all of that stuff. And the only way that you do that is by creating the content to make it happen, because you can think about it all day long, but until you're actually making it, the real learning that you're going to hold on to, that doesn't happen.
Yeah. And this so reminds me of my situation. You know, I don't know how many know this, but in May, it'll be about 2 years ago when I joined April or May, when I joined Brian G. Johnson's Trust Funnel. And that's where I was, and then that's where the amazing Tubertool community we all belong to started, which was just after he finished his group coaching there. And I wanted to do videos, and I wanted to teach people all about video and editing and you know, video marketing and YouTube. And then all I wanted to do was create whiteboard videos for the longest time in the beginning. I just didn't want to get on camera. And then I realized I'm not going to get anywhere unless I start to put myself out there. So actually starting to put myself out there, and the whole journey and process to get to like where I am today, sitting here live with a chat roll going and Nick Nimmin here, it's just like a significant evolution over time. And I don't think we really know what we're capable of. And I think it's a self-discovery process. And that's what's really exciting about it. And the patience that's required, because, you know, for the longest time, you know, and I remember at Vid Summit, Nick, you said to me, throw away the teleprompter, take that thing down and stamp on it and get rid of it.
Right.
Because you saw this kind of passion, some of which I'm hoping is being present here today in what we're talking about. And I realized how I was looking for every crutch I could to help me win, so to speak, and be perfect. And so even
there is no perfect at the end of the day. There, like with, you know, especially with the type of content that we make, Gord, like there is no perfect. There, you know, you're sharing information as you know it. You're sharing information in terms of, you know, what you know from your experience, and you're making the content, you're putting it out there, you know, and there's always going to be something to where when you watch a video, you think, oh man, I can't believe I did that, or I can't believe I said it that way, or I can't believe that I used this particular music or didn't use this particular music, or I can't believe I put that graphic up. Or the big one, oh my gosh, I can't believe I misspelled that. And it's in video and it's now on YouTube permanently, and now like 50,000 people have seen it. Great. You know, now I look like a moron, right? Like that kind of stuff happens, but it's the realities. But it's the realities of the whole thing in terms of it not being perfect, you know, like just being comfortable with that and saying, hey, I'm just going to keep moving forward. You know, if I make a mistake, if there's something that I'm not fully getting in terms of producing the content, but it's getting it out there, and I'm heading in that direction, like we were talking about earlier. I'm heading in that direction that I want to go towards this end goal. Then you'll win if you just keep moving in that direction. It might take you a little bit longer than normal if you're coming in with no production experience or whatever, or, you know, if you have just like a crazy vibrant personality or something like that, you know, that people connect to. I mean, you can rise up pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I think those are great points, and I think people more than anything need to find patience and discover themselves. Unless you come from some acting career and you're totally experienced and know exactly what you're going to do, and you flick the switch on and there's the magic, right? And not a lot of us come to the table with that. And I remember you once saying that the first video you did was to educate people about being camera shy, if I recall, or something to do with that, right?
And you know, yeah, it is. And that's something that anytime I do speaking presentations now, that I make that part of my presentation. And the reason for that is because anytime I have conversations with people about YouTube, people are always talking about like, man, I'd love to do YouTube, but I'm just terrified to get in front of the computer, or not the computer, but to get terrified to get in front of the camera. Yeah. And because of that, I make it a point to let people know that, you know, like people, you know, because my channel has done well in the past year, people are looking at my stuff like, you know, hey, you know, Nick's, you know, really good at this or whatever. But I also had that same thing, right? Like I had that same exact hurdle that I had to overcome. I almost didn't release that first video publicly. Yeah. So think of what would have happened in my life if I would have not released that video you know, publicly, because this whole journey for me has been just a big evolution of a life-changing, revolutionizing thing for me personally. And if I wouldn't have taken that risk and I wouldn't have put myself on camera, then I, you know, I wouldn't be having all the fun that I'm having right now. You know,
exactly.
And so because of that, I try to share that message, and I even put it up on the screen, right? Because in that video, I have a bunch of like foundation on my face. I have concealer underneath my eyes and all of that stuff. And you know, like when I was making the content, I was so paranoid about what other people were going to think that I put on all of this stuff, because I'm like, well, my skin's blotchy, and then people are going to say stuff about my skin, and, you know, forgetting the fact that I'm a human being, right? Like in my own head, forgetting the fact that I'm a human being, and saying, well, you know what, I'm going to put all this stuff up to hide who I am, so that I can please other people. Like I had to get over that hurdle as well. And I know a lot of people struggle with that. So that's why it's something that I always try to at least mention, to let people know that are listening, that, you know, if you're afraid of that right now, one, start making videos and don't even put them up, right? Just make videos and just save them on your phone, or just edit them on your computer, and keep making videos until you're like, you know what, that one's not that bad. I think I could put that one up and I could be comfortable with it, and then start actually making them public. But the idea that I really try to express to people is just go, right? Like just do it. If that's something that you're wanting to do, don't let that fear of being on camera, don't let that be what's stopping you, because you may just create something that may change your life and the lives of other people as well, if you take that risk.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge factor, because I'm out here doing what I'm doing and you're doing what you're doing because we want to have an impact in the world and help people and make their lives better, or whatever their goals are. And by them seeing us share our journey as we're going through and what we go through, it gives them hope and knows that that potential is in each and every one of us. We all have incredible gifts, and just by making the effort to experiment. And I love this point, because I call it the identity crisis. And, you know, Brian, I love Brian, and I don't know the famous swimmer he quotes often, you know, that was it Michael Phelps? Swim in your own lane concept. And when I can accept my own identity and realize I don't need to be like the next guy, I need to be me and do my personal best. That's the race I'm playing. Then everything if you can let go all that. And I'm being honest, I fight it, because you know, we're going to look a little deeper in terms of the cross niching concept that I'm trying to execute on, and that'll come a little more forward. And I just wanted to share that. I mean, these are great points, Nick, and thank you. And I want to say, wow, Crystal, I hope I say your name right, Chris Heidelbaugh. Thank you so much for the super chat. And he has a question for us here. If you produce a video each day, but you're an unknown YouTuber and getting 2 views a video, can this hurt you, because the YouTube algorithms will see this as bad content? So I'm just going to give my little spin, and then Nick, I'm sure you have a ton to say on this. I know, like when I started out, it was like if I got like 5 views on something, other than the ones where I'd go, hi, Sister Carrie, be sure you play my video, click the like button, And no, don't throw a comment because you're my sister. Then it'll be like too fixed. Hey, Jamie. Hey, Ben. You know, everybody help me out a little. I'm trying to grow my channel. I say, you know, you can't be discouraged. We all start from somewhere, and everything, you know, even me, I can sit here and I go, look, the number of subs, you know, I get in a week, you know, Nick gets in a half an hour or an hour. And I'm going like, this is all about not letting all of that noise really upset you, and that we all start somewhere. And this is about the patience game, I'm saying. And I wouldn't be worried about focusing on the algorithm, because then it's going to distract you from trying to produce good quality stuff, which is what it's all about. And does that make sense, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I have for you, Chris, on that is, if you're making a video a day and you're getting 2 views per video, then what I would do is I would lessen the amount of time that you're uploading, and I would spend those off days digging into every possible resource that you have, to learn how to rank your videos better, to learn how to actually get your videos discovered, to get them in front of people. So let's say that you're uploading a video every single day and you're getting like 2 views a video. So would it be more efficient for you to upload twice a week right now, or 3 times a week right now, and then spend 4 days out of the week or 5 days out of the week actually promoting your content on Facebook, trying to find places that you can share it on Reddit, trying to find web forums that you can put it in, making connections with other YouTubers, being, you know, in different communities and all that stuff, so that people can get to know you and know the content that you make and all of that stuff. Like if you're putting out all of this content for the sake of, hey, I need to be uploading every single day so that I can blow up, so to speak, right now, you're going to be better served learning how to actually get your videos discovered than you are making those videos. So yes, you're increasing your opportunities for discovery with every video that you make. But if you're not getting more than 2 views a video, then you definitely need to spend some time learning how to make better thumbnails, how to craft your titles, how to rank your videos in search, and how to share them elsewhere on the internet, so that you can start pulling in more than 2 videos per video when you upload them. So that'll make everything that you're doing a lot more efficient. And to be honest with you, right now, like if you're just starting out, you know, right now, that's also going to take off a lot of pressure in terms of, hey, I got to make sure that I'm making videos every single day, right? To where you're going, hey, I'm going to do 3 times a week. And then for those 3 videos, I'm going to make sure that I'm optimizing. I'm going to make sure that I'm you know, sharing them out in the right places and all that stuff. Like as an example, on my channel, for a long time, I was just doing 1 video a week, and then I upped it to 2. And then once the live streaming thing came out, that's the only reason that I'm doing the 3 pieces of content on my channel every week, is because the live streaming thing came out. If it wasn't for that, then I personally wouldn't have. You know, I may have worked in another upload. But most likely it wouldn't have came as fast as it did with the live streams, because frankly, the live streams are easy to do. Mm-hmm. So really focusing on making sure that you're you know, there's the 80-20 rule, right? So the same thing applies on YouTube, as far as, you know, you got to make sure that the efforts that you're putting in terms of your video creation, you also have to make sure that you're leveling that out with learning the other aspects of being a content creator in terms of distribution and all that stuff, instead of just focusing on making the content. Because you can be putting out the best videos in the world, but if you haven't learned how to get people to click on your thumbnails, how to get people or how to rank your videos and all that stuff, then all of those videos, they're not working on your behalf, right? But if you can take 1 video and you can say, okay, well, I'm going to spend, tomorrow is going to be my thumbnail day, and I'm going to make 10 different thumbnails, and I'm going to pass these thumbnails all around the internet, and I'm going to see which thumbnails people think that they would respond to the most. And then I'm going to apply that thumbnail to it. And then I'm also going to spend that next day going through all of this different keyword research to make sure that I'm really fine tuning the term that I'm trying to rank for, so that I can be a big fish in a small pond right now, so that I can really capitalize on the traffic that's coming in from that specific term. So your time is better spent when you're doing things that way, instead of producing for the sake of producing.
Yeah,
hope that made sense.
That's a whole bunch of awesomeness there, Nick. Thanks. And this is, again, you know, people when they get in, they realize there are so many dimensions here, and that's why it's hard work to fire on so many things. And I you know, I often say to myself, I feel kind of blessed that I can you know, pretty much figure out all the tech stuff to execute and learn those things because of my background, but that's only part of the battle. There's so many other dimensions, like you're saying, learning the craft, as Gary Vee says, become a practitioner, and actually, you know, getting the stuff done and putting it out there, learning how to optimize, etc. So Nick, I'd like to just we'll take a quick break in the sense that we're going to look at the comments. There's so many great things going on in here, and I want to bring this up on screen and just I'm going to go back a bit and see, because there were some really good questions. I apologize to everybody, but I'm going to go back a certain distance here and bring in some of these questions. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Beanie says it was comforting to know that Nick was nervous in the beginning. Yeah.
Oh, nervous is an understatement.
Yeah.
You know, because here's the thing. Like, here's the realities of people going on camera is, and everybody in the chat right now, anybody's going to be watching this on the replay knows this. Gord, you know this. Like the reality of putting yourself on camera is you have that internal dialogue that's like, one, I mean, I'm just going to be honest here. You know, I'm not a 13-year-old kid. I'm not a 16-year-old kid. Right. So I had that hurdle to overcome. Like, you know, hey, am I too old to be doing this in the first place? Two, I also had the hurdle of, you know, I've got like my hairline, you know, that is my look. But at the time, I'm like, you know, I bet people are just going to be hammering on me because of my hair, maybe because of my beard, maybe because of the way that I say things. What happens if somebody that I know runs into my video? Then what? Oh. Right. And you have all of that stuff in terms of like, well, great. Then they're going to be like, oh, hey, you know, hey, Nick, are you a YouTuber? You know what I mean? And then you got to have like all of that stuff that you got to deal with. You know, I mean, those are real fears, real problems that people have. You know, like what if one of my clients at the time in my design stuff, what if one of them saw one of my videos? Would they give me a hard time about it? You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like all of that stuff is something that, you know, all of us deal with when we're putting ourselves out there and putting ourselves on camera.
Look, I even had the identity crisis related to my previous career. I mean, I worked in IT, in tech and business intelligence, and that whole community and big data has nothing to do with what I'm doing. And I would sit there and go, what are the people going to think about what I'm doing now? And then it took me a while to let go of that. I mean, I still to this day need to update my LinkedIn profile to be correct for what I'm doing now. But that was something I resisted for the longest time. But, you know, now I couldn't be happier now. The experience and the fun, the hard work, you know, work is play. I mean, that's where it's got to now. And that's where the dream is, I feel. And I'm plugging away. And so Brian confirmed that quote about swim in your own lane was from Sonny Lenarduzzi. And that was, that's cool. And, okay, then we're just looking at a few more here. Okay. Okay, Tom Nash TV says, speak about the advantage of being small. You can experiment, you can make mistakes and rebrand, unlike big channels. So yeah, this is part of getting into what I wanted to do. So we're going to answer that in a minute. I'm going to pose that. Is that okay?
Hey, Gord, but before we get into that, if you don't mind, because I know you're on a challenge. You're on a personal challenge right now for like watch time and all of that stuff. How's your personal challenge going with your channel right now? Just not to derail, but I just wanted to bring that up real quick and just kind of see how things are going.
Okay, so this is, thank you for asking, Nick, and it's going fantastic, and I don't know if people know, but I started on January 16th, the YouTube world came out with the new set of guidelines for the YouTube Partner Program that were going to come, well, they came into effect right away, but for grandfathering and other reasons, official changeover is like February 20th, and you had to have the requirement of getting 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours over a rolling 12-month period of watch time in order to qualify for things like AdSense and super chats and stuff. And I fall like, you know, which we're going to talk about. I have 2,000 subscribers today, so I'm like double that qualification number, but I fall short.
High five, fist bump.
Thank you. And I fall short on the hours watched, but I'm like close. So when we started out, I was at 3,111 hours on January 17th. And today, I just, you know, luck would have it, I can't find my summary sheet. Oh, here it is. Today, as of last night, I have 3,659. The magic number is just 341 hours to achieve by February 19th, we'll call it, because the 20th is the official day. So I still
Nice.
have to execute on over 20 plus hours of watch time on my channel a day. And it's not about me qualifying for revenue here. I said, oh my God, this is a great opportunity to share with people me trying to step up my game because I want to help people grow. So I started to step up my game. You know, look at me here, you know, Nick's gracious to come out and share his wisdom with us, and I'm getting to execute on a dream of mine to be able to interview, you know, influencers that are like further down the road and share their wisdom with all of you, and it's just been a thrill. So, and thank you all to all the people that have been watching so extensively my stuff. I hope you're finding some good value in that. I mean, hopefully,
Gord, hopefully we're stacking up some watch time right now. We've got like 47 people in here right now.
Whoa,
so
really?
So yeah, so hopefully it was up to like 50. I saw like 51 at one time. So yeah, so hopefully you'll be stacking up a decent amount of watch time for that too, because you know, if you can keep, you know, like say like 40 people in here concurrently over the course of, let's say, like 30 to 45 minutes, I mean, that's, you know, it's going to add up pretty quick.
Yeah, and this is new for me. I mean, before it was, you know, like we talked about fears and things and evolving. I go like, I hope there's more than 10 people up here in chat, but I have no idea how I'm going to handle the chat.
They're here.
And I can see that
They're
when
here.
I go scroll it back, it kind of irritates the flow if people are looking at it visually on screen. So there's lots for me to learn and figure this out. And, you know,
Sure.
Nick, feel free to jump in because there's a lot of great stuff going on there. And I wish like if I sit here and go down and analyze the chat now, I know it's going to throw me for a loop. So, but thank you everyone. And you know, please, I appreciate how you're all helping each other in the chat. It's great. So let's dive into our next concept in here. So this gets into dealing with someone like me. I'm now, you know, my channel existed since I think 2011, but I put up 2 videos there and it's sat that way for, you know, 5 years. So it's only since I joined Tubertools where in earnest, you know, it'll be 2 years coming April, May, where I've started to produce videos. Now, the thing that's interesting is I wanted to work on a niche where I found I had to have passion and be really into it. And I loved creating and making video and editing video and doing the creative stuff and all the different elements that go into like perfecting the art of editing. And because I loved Camtasia and had some, you know, that was one of the areas where I dove deep in and learned from Lon Naylor and Michelle Shane in their community. And I just started to love it. But then I also felt inside that, you know, I also love YouTube. I love social video and other things. And I love YouTube and the concept of maybe even educating on something like YouTube. And I said, I keep hearing, you know, you need to be very focused in your niche. And I get that. And through great wisdom and support from Brian G. Johnson, last January, I decided to shift. I did a little pivot for myself and did a deep dive into Camtasia to make regular tutorials. And I loved it because it's where I think I'm really in my element is doing that. But at the same time, I want to execute on my niche and diversity because I want to help with people with all things to do with video, not just the editing and the creating. I want to help them. What am I going to do with that video? Well, am I using it in video marketing to get some kind of specialized message out, or am I using it to
in your
build my
case,
channel,
Gord,
right? So
yeah, in your case, I think that's going to be fine because basically you're taking it from Camtasia, which is video related, and then basically all you're doing is you're expanding the umbrella of the topics that you cover, but it's all still video related stuff.
Yes.
So because of that, because you're still working within the video space, you're fine because all you're doing is you're expanding that umbrella out, so to speak.
Okay.
So instead of it just being, hey, I'm doing Camtasia, now it's like, hey, I'm doing video, but part of video is also Camtasia. Right. So then that opens you up to a whole other range of topics that are specifically based around video. So I think that's a totally good move. Yeah. You know, it's not like if you were like, hey, I'm going to I have this Camtasia channel, but now I'm going to start doing vlogs. Totally different story. Right. Because in that case, it's not in alignment with what you're already doing. But, you know, if all you're doing with staying in the video space is you're just expanding your umbrella, so to speak, of topics. And I think that's a great thing to do. And
okay,
really
thanks.
quick, I want to hop in the chat here really quick, Gord, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Frugal Pepper First, Frugal Prepper, thank you for the $10 super chat. They say that they have a video that took off unexpectedly. Should they change the cards and end screens to direct viewers to other videos? They don't want to mess up the algorithm. So what you want to do, Frugal Pepper, is since you have a video that's taking off, you want to look in your audience retention reports and you want to see where people are starting to drop off on that video. And you want to add a card right before the drop-off point, like 3 seconds, maybe 5 seconds before the actual drop-off point on that video, so that you can grab their interest and then send them to another video before they have the chance to bail. So you definitely want to do that. And then you can also add additional cards like later in the video as well, you know, past that drop-off point, to keep trying to get them to go to watch more content. Also, without question, make sure that you are pushing traffic forward in terms of your end screen. And I would also pin a comment, the very top comment on your video watch page, pin a comment that's going to send them to another playlist of similar topic videos. So basically make sure that, let's say if they, I'm not sure what it is that you're doing. Your name's Frugal Prepper, so I'm guessing that you're doing prepping on the cheap, right? So let's say that people are coming into your video that is something about like using, you know, like how to can food on a budget or something like that. I don't know. But let's say you're doing it on like how to can food on a budget. Then in that case, then I would try to make sure that you're sending them to other things that are directly related to that topic, so that you're actually pulling them in based on their interests instead of just trying to send them to random content. So if you can say, as an example, like let's say that you're doing like the canned food thing, then if you have other videos on your channel that are also in that canned food thing, then I would take that video that's performing well right now, put that into a series playlist with those other canned food videos as well, or the other things that are related to food preservation as an example. Just what I'm getting at is making sure that you're working within the same topic group based on their interest that they're coming into that video that's taking off for. But you want to put those into a series playlist together, and you want to link to them in your card. You want to link to them in your end screen, and you want to link to them in a pinned comment on your video page. And with all of those links, make sure that you're linking to playlists in that series that I'm talking about, so that you're basically creating a time trap for those people within their interest range of what it is that they're actually coming into that original video for. So hopefully that answered your question there.
That's awesome advice, Nick. Thank you for taking that. And again, thank you for the nice super chat. Frugal Pepper. Is it Prepper?
Prepper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm gonna pop their
to
channel
people, like feel free, throw some comments in, and of course tap that like button if you're enjoying our conversation today, because I'd like to be able to look at some of the channels after. And Nick, I can't really do that now, so I guess the only real way I would know, because the chat's gone. Well, it depends if I had it on the recording screen, depending on how much I showed. So if someone leaves a comment, I know I can appreciate go checking out their channel after too. So that would be helpful to me. And hey, and British Cook, thank you for your super chat, much appreciated. And there's more questions in here, Nick, and I try to field them as we go. If you see something, just pop it out. So okay, so I wanted to, you gave some really good answers about sort of like, you know, validating that what I'm doing, I call it, it's like my niche is, it's like there's an umbrella over it, and it sort of breaks down into a few different subcomponents that fit together to make that umbrella over me, and I feel pretty good about it. But here's the thing I wanted to say to people is that we can't have the same expectation with a diversity of sort of topics under that umbrella to grow with a certain speed or you know, quickness. And I think people need to consider, you know, you got to be doing also what you love. But I'm not saying if you're too scattered, then you're totally cool with it. You know, what's your motivation? Is your motivation out there to blow up on subs and views, or is it that I want to build a business? Like I'm trying to build a business so that I can do more consulting, and I've got product ideas and courses, and, like, you know, everything's starting to come together for me in all ways. But I viewed it as I had to make that investment in this diversity in order to allow YouTube to be a platform that's going to serve me, you know, beyond YouTube. And you're not going to get those same kind of vanity statistics performance per se as you would if you're doing something that was much more narrow. I had to do what was gonna, you know, bring me joy.
Sure. Sure. And that's important. You know, I mean, I'm kind of 50-50 on the whole, the whole passion thing. Because there's, at the end of the day, is working that passion, is that also going to, end up, paying your bills and all that stuff? Like that's an important thing to look at, because, hey, you might love doing, like tech reviews. But if you're putting out tons of money, but no money's coming in, then you're not going to be able to do tech reviews for very long. Right. So making sure that you have whatever decisions that you're making, it's great if you can enjoy what it is that you're doing as well, because it makes the whole thing a lot more fun. But there are, like Brian just said right here, he said, one must sacrifice. It's not possible to have it all. That's a great way to put it. There's some times to where, you might have to cover a topic that you might normally not cover, or that, hey, you're covering it a lot because it's making the bell ring, so to speak. Yeah. So sometimes you do have to go down that path as well. I mean, you don't have to, but if you're trying to get those numbers behind you, then it's definitely something you have to do. And in addition to that, on the other side, you're also going to run into things in terms of, let's say somebody reaches out to you and they're like, hey, Gord, we have this app that we think would be a good fit for your audience. And you're looking at it and you're like, you know what, they're going to pay me to make this video, but it's not really a good fit. So I would love to have the money from it, but it's not really a good fit. So in that case, you have to kind of remove, hey, I love the app. The app's fantastic, but it's not really a good fit for my audience. So you might want to have to walk, or not have to, but you might want to walk away from that offer because it's not a good fit for your audience, even though you're passionate about what it is that they are making. And you think it would be cool, but you have to keep your audience in mind in that regard.
Yeah, I mean that's so true. And in my case, and Brian G. Johnson, who's helped coach me a lot over the last couple of years, he'd regularly sort of like give me a little tap on the side of my head to wake me up, like, you're shifting a little too off from your alignment. You need to get this consistency and frequency and congruency and getting your stuff out there to serve the audience. Yeah. And if you this is where, like, another way of classifying this is, like, satisfying the artist versus are you trying to build a business around this? And if you go so all over the place, like I know juggling it all is, to me, the toughest thing, because, for example, when I wanted to do my ebook called Better Videos from Home, teaching everybody how to do everything from scratch to setting up a set, lighting, camera choices, process to put in place, and all kinds of stuff. It's like a 30,000 word ebook. I went way overboard, and I like abandoned publishing for 3 weeks, and I paid the price. And sure. I even did that again with my website and wanting to perfect it and working with Jamie and with my sister and scripting and trying to figure out this, like, Picasso website. And it's like, again, another hiatus, another penalty. So it's so hard to juggle it all.
Here's my recommendation. Yeah. Here's my recommendation, Gord. And this is what I've done, and it's worked for me. Mm-hmm. Is I always focus on content. So it's like, you know what, no matter what's going on, like 99.9% of the time, no matter what's going on, I have this content that I have to get out on a schedule. So the more content that I'm putting out that people are responding to, then all of that other stuff, it can wait. Because the more of this content that I'm putting out, that content is helping me build my influence. It's not my website. That content is helping me get these offers coming to me instead of me having to go out and seek stuff, right? So because of that, putting a strong focus on saying, you know what, I'm going to focus everything and I'm going to prioritize making content, because that's where that's where everything else comes from. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like you can have, you can take that time off and go work on your website, but if that's slowing down your spread of your influence, then that's kind of counterproductive for what you're building your website for in the first place, right?
Yes.
So focusing on making the content every single week. I'm at least going to put up X amount of videos on these particular days, and that is going to be my priorities over everything else. that opens up the gates and lets all of the other stuff come through, so that when you put your website into place, so that when you release your ebooks and things like that, so that you have that audience there. But if you take those breaks and you're causing those inconsistencies in your upload schedule, then, you know, if you end up taking a drop because of that, then long term, you're basically creating a disadvantage for yourself instead of, you know, creating things for the sake of giving yourself that rise. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Actually, it does. It does. And I'm realizing that, you know, more and more now. I mean, at first I didn't accept the idea that those things can kind of wait. It was just because I had no website. I had no way to build my email list, and I'm starting to grow, and I'm like near 500, 700 subscribers at the time. And it's like, I need to get these properties together. But I think in my case, I you know, the project turns out to be 3 to 4 times what I think it's going to take.
It's always that way. You know, it's always that way. Gord, I've been working on a course since November. Yeah. Right. And my thing was like, hey, I'm launching this in January, but I've been working on a course since November, and it's probably not going to be done until the end of this month, maybe beginning of next month. So, you know, that kind of stuff, it always takes longer than anticipated. But if you just keep focusing on making sure that you're putting out your content, then that whole machine is building for you while you're slacking on this other stuff. So that once you get that other stuff in place, that you have that audience there to receive it.
Yeah, and it's about allowing yourself, for kind of forgiving yourself and accepting that's okay. And you know, in my case, I have this course I'm wanting to put together with Video Meme Mastery that you know all about, Nick, and we talked about that at Vid Summit, and I've been sharing that out there. And when I started to go on this challenge, I go, oh, here we go, backseat again, because I saw that this was more important in that bigger cause. But now, because I'm producing, I'm doing more live content and preparing to have great conversations like this. I'm finding it a struggle to focus on doing that other core stuff. But now I've like, you know, I'm still publishing, and I count this as publishing 2 to 3 times a week, which I'm already upping my performance significantly. So I think we all need to sometimes just to allow ourselves to breathe, and it's okay that you have to do little shifts and jump over a hurdle here. And in the big picture, you're moving forward, as Brian would always say to me, move forward, right, Brian?
Yeah. Absolutely. And I want to say really quick that Shannon Vlog says that she's had a video in the hopper for a few days, and she said that she hasn't published because it's not perfect, but she's publishing now. I just want to give her a high five and fist bump for making that public.
Yeah, and I think it's great that she should mention that, because I can tell you that, you know, in the beginning, I used to have way overboard on the number of animations and kinetic text and other stuff that I would throw into my videos. And aside from doing the base edit, so now it's funny. In my process, you know, I'll bring in the clips, I'll do the base edit, I'll put my video together, and then I go, now it's time to dress it up the way the Gord likes to do it. And I can spend 3, 4, 5 additional hours doing all of this fancy stuff, and I love it. The artist in me just can't get enough of that. And then then there's that, you know, oh, how much of this is a crutch? It's okay to be me out here, and I don't need to have every little bell and whistle. And you used to do more of that stuff too, didn't you? Yeah.
So, yeah, and this is in line with Onyx Arcane says that that they put a lot of time into to visuals, and that can be detrimental to time. And they're saying that they're new creators. Should I keep it to visuals or dumb it down a little? I would definitely dumb it down a little. And let me tell you why. I would dumb it down a little because what you think people are going to respond to versus what they actually respond to, it can actually be surprising at times. So I would experiment. But I've taken a small hit in my audience retention because I don't use as much graphics and things like that on my videos. But I've taken a humongous leap in time because I don't add those extra graphics and things like that. So for me, it's a great trade-off. You know what I mean? Like, I'll take a hit in audience retention so that I can, you know, so that I can reserve, you know, an extra 4 hours to hang out with my girlfriend instead of, you know, saying, okay, well, I'm going to spend this 4 hours making sure that, you know, I've got my text is moving in every single frame. And then I'm making all these different text slides and things like that. It's just not, you know, just like with anything, you know, you have to, you know, just balance out, you know, what's really important. And it's really easy, you know, like you were saying, Gord, from the artist perspective, you know, from that from that artist that's inside of us saying, hey, you know what, I need to make this as awesome as I possibly can, which is like, that's great. Yeah, definitely make it as awesome as you can. But on the flip side, kind of balance it out. If you've got that time and you're like, hey, you know what, I've got 5 hours to spend on this, then go for it. Right.
Yeah.
But if you don't, then don't give yourself that stress and pressure of trying to make sure that you are doing that just for the sake of doing it. Yeah. Now, on the flip side of that, if you say, okay, in my audit retention reports, I travel through this much of my video, and then for whatever reason, I've noticed a pattern that in this particular area, people start dropping off, right?
Right.
Then in that case, then look at it and say, okay, well, let me experiment in that particular area. I'm going to start adding, you know, maybe just a little bit of graphics to that particular area and see if that kind of helps lift things up a little bit. And then, you know, kind of keep scrubbing through your retention reports as, you know, the results come in from that. And then start, you know, doing that a little bit more strategic instead of putting it in for the sake of just putting it in.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny.
Eileen, thank you for that.
Thank you, Eileen.
Eileen Smith in the house. Thank you for that, Eileen.
Yes.
And Dale Roberts also in the house. Just want to give a shout out there, and Car Galaxy Studios. What is going on?
Yeah, the chat's real busy, and thank you everyone again for your participation. And I'm just having such a good time with Nick here and sharing some great stuff. And I really appreciated your last point. And what's interesting is, I would find sometimes when I get to the stage now of wanting to put in a lot of that animation, I make sure my first minute is like solid. If I need to add some tweaks and other things, and I'm more now willing to compromise in the rest of what I produce, and now that I find that I have more ability to engage in my presentation and style, I'm more comfortable with letting go. But I think everyone has to also experiment and find their formula for engagement, and it's not just about these doodads that we throw up to keep engagement, because I think it's easy to get lost in the knowledge we pile into our head of learning the technical things we can do. You want to have every 3 to 6 or 9 seconds or 7 seconds some kind of movement, a jump cut, an animation, a sound to keep the thing engaging. Well, I was notorious for getting lost in believing in the power of that can override the quality of your message and the content
well, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. That stuff does matter. People do respond to it. Right. But it might not be as much as like not doing that stuff might not have the horrible impact that you might think that it might have. You might take a drop in retention. You might not. But, again, it comes down to balance. But people do respond to that. That does help in terms of retention, using those graphics, using the little cut-ins, doing the pattern interrupts, all of that stuff. It definitely helps. But it's just making that balance of again, it's saying, okay, well, what is most important here? Is it more important that I publish this and actually get it up there so that it can start working for me? Yeah. Or is it more important for me to spend the next 5 hours making some words, kind of move across the screen or something? You know what I mean?
And so I keep experimenting with different tools to help me get an edge in performance and creating some of those assets. Some of the stuff you can buy pre-made, some can be template stuff and alpha transparency things. And it's interesting, just as a quick aside, Retro Arcade Machine says, I never got with Camtasia, but I will watch your videos and give it another go. So, a lot of people still have a misperception about Camtasia that it's just a screencasting software. Well, they've come out in their release 9 with these things called behaviors, which are sort of like prepackaged animations, and they've upped their game now to be a little more competitive with a lot of the other products. I mean, it's not trying to compete with Adobe Premiere Pro or Final Cut Pro for the professional and people at that higher level that need a certain depth and scope of features, but wow, I can do some pretty crazy animated things in a fraction of the time that people take to do those tools. So I always say we can always get caught up in what we see the capabilities are of all the tools out there, and it's amazing. And like the technology and the scope of options now is just staggering. But also you need to evaluate. I mean, if you aren't the greatest skilled or have the best ability to adapt to some of those more sophisticated tools, you know, something like Camtasia could be like a perfect sweet spot and help you achieve a lot of what you want to execute on, and your videos be amazing. And I just wanted to say, it's different strokes for different folks, and people come in with different skill levels. And, you know, again, we have perceptions about, well, you know, industry and film is using these things, and there's Sony Vegas like you use, Nick. There's so many options, and I encourage people to get the free trials and try some different products out. And
also some of them are also intimidating. You know, like you open them up and initially you're like, whoa, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to do this. But if you go spend like a few hours, you know, like we were just talking about, if you instead of spending that 5 hours making stuff move around your screen, go spend 5 hours learning how to use the software better, you know, long term, that's going to end up saving even more time.
Good point.
You know what I mean? So when you open something up and you're like, hey, this is really intimidating, you know, go watch some tutorials, figure out how to use it, because it might be intimidating because there's a lot of stuff that you can do, but that stuff that you can do might speed up your workflow once you learn how to use it properly, or it might make your videos come out better and be a higher quality production because you took the time to learn how to use the software.
And that's a great point. I think people need to have the patience and invest in the tools, whatever editor you're using, because think about it, every single production, if you're doing your editing, you dive in and you have to, and the efficiencies you gain in that and in your whole process of production, pre and post, will help you. And that's why I try to produce videos on my site. You do a lot like that too, to help people appreciate what's involved, to get yourself ready to perform on camera, how to succeed in YouTube, how to edit, you know, write and package it all together. So there's lots of pieces to the puzzle. And I think the editor, you know, if you can get that and it be something, you know, that's something you can well control by the time and energy you put in. Some things are more like the discovery process of yourself, and, you know, in your on-camera presence, which are things that you just have to have patience and time and do more, you know, to experience. So those are great points. I have a very, and by the way, I see Top Shelf VA Naomi's in the house.
What's up, Naomi?
Nice to see you. That's awesome. And anything else that you saw, Nick, that you wanted to mention in the chat, because it's flying along?
Yeah. So Shannon Vlog says, is it better for me to get the video up than put graphics in it? That was actually directed at you, but I'll hop on this one really quick. Okay. For that, it is important to get the video up, and having some graphics is fine. Like what we're talking about is basically going down the big rabbit hole of, I got to put tons of graphics in this, have stuff going all over the place and all of that in order to make this interesting. Right. So if you want to use graphics, by all means use graphics, but just kind of keep in mind, hey, is using all of these graphics and doing all of this fancy stuff, is it really worth doing? And experiment with not doing it and look in your audience retention reports and see if you even need to do it. Because, you know, in a lot of cases, you would be shocked at how it doesn't make that big of a difference. In some cases it does, but in a lot of cases you'd be shocked at how much of a difference it doesn't make not having all of that fancy stuff in there. And
that gets into experimenting and allowing yourself to see what happens, and then you'll see how that turns out.
Right.
I have a very important nuance to discuss about niches, and it's about my situation. And the reason why I want to bring it up is because I think there may be many people in here. So for example, my focus or my anchor for the last year has been in Camtasia, as we've discussed. If you used things like Google Planner tool and other in search volume in YouTube and other tools that I have, and I look at the competition and I look at the age of videos, and I see that I love Camtasia and it has a great space, but in the scheme of things, compared to something like a Final Cut Pro or Premiere Pro, there's not near the scale or volume of audience that there is for these other kinds of products in terms of search. So it makes me, want to emphasize to people that just looking at the numbers someone else has in performance and growth is not the right way to look at your success in your niche. And I say this because in the Camtasia space, I have 20 plus videos now. I think it's about 22. And I would say probably on 75% of them, I rank in the top 5, and in several of them, number 1. And at worst, probably at least a top 10 ranking. And I consider that to be pretty good success channel authority in terms of that focus in what I'm doing. But it's not the same thing as if I was like just dead focused to YouTube, where there's, you know, like you and Brian are, and others, and in terms of the scale of search that's happening there. So because I'm trying to serve across a variety of things, but I sit there and I want people to realize that if your niche is small and that's what your passion is, and it's also part of your big why to be using YouTube as part of a bigger picture, that not to be discouraged. And I want to know, like, in you're serving some of your clients, like, have you come across other scenarios like mine, the way I sort of describe? Because I consider I'm
so to recap that, to make sure that I understand what you're saying. Are you saying that basically don't be discouraged if you're serving a small niche? Is that what you're saying?
Don't be discouraged if you're serving a smaller niche for part of what you're doing, or in total, because you need to be looking at your bigger picture. So for me, it's helping me, you know, get the clients and produce products and be able to do these other things that I want to execute on. And the other stuff is part of my why too. But getting some channel authority with where I focused is helping as a growth strategy. So
sure.
I kind of
So focusing on, you know, like a smaller pool, so to speak, is absolutely fine. And that's what I was saying earlier about being a big fish in a small pond, right? So I mean, that's definitely, you know, there's advantages to that, because, you know, that makes you the authority in that space if you can, you know, make a bunch of videos that end up ranking in that particular space. And then when you start broadening out, then what happens there is you say, okay, well, in this particular case, I am going out to more general video related stuff. So my pond is going to get bigger. And with that also comes a lot more competition. So, and it's not just search volume, or not just search results that you're going after. You're also competing with them in terms of the topic base. You're competing with them in terms of the retention that they get on their videos, and all of that stuff. So it's not just about, you know, hey, I'm trying to rank against these people in search. It's about I'm actually competing with them all the way across the board in every single element that gets sent out to the platform to let the algorithm know that people are responding to my content or not. Yeah, you're competing with them on everything, not just search volume.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I just think that some people, you know, might get discouraged because they don't see the growth performance of something that's unrelated to them, and thinking that maybe there's something wrong with them. I was just trying to say that my rankings were in a way kind of a validation that people are watching my stuff, and so that I am on track in that regard. But so because I didn't want to go direct out to try to compete in the YouTube space where I'm starting to do content for it, like we are right now in this live stream, that because I'm starting to grow and I have a certain subscriber base and this content is relevant for my people, I'll you know, I can, for lack of a better word, I'm calling it, compete at a little better level and start to inch my way into helping fulfill my umbrella of all the topics that I'm trying to cover in what I call my overall niche, my umbrella niche. And so I just wanted to say to people that there are different strategies, and this was one that I did, was to try and build the anchor in a certain way to help raise my boat, so then I can do more things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It definitely does. But on the flip side of that, you know, there's also like, hey, you know, there's being a big fish in the small pond, and then there's also the side of saying, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to go into just the video help space, so to speak. Maybe not necessarily YouTube, but like teaching people how to do video related stuff that the search volume is higher, which increases my opportunity for faster growth,
right?
As well. So maybe it's a little bit harder to get my foot in the door, but once I do get my foot in the door, then I'm going to have a greater chance of faster success because I did go after these more difficult topics.
Yeah, and this also gets into the whole aspect of the strategies for being discovered in search, and using type ahead and all kinds of keyword strategies and stuff like you and Brian, for example, focus on and give us a lot of education. And I think that's fantastic. So, you know, people, please feel free to add any more questions into the chat. It's greatly appreciated. And the last sort of important topic piece that I wanted to cover today was, when should someone decide whether they should be making a pivot in the sense, like, you know, maybe this is like, what kind of signals maybe the niche thing isn't working? Because I know I went through sort of ups and downs myself, like, you know, do I bail on this channel? Do I split what I'm doing now and make an exclusive channel on Camtasia? Or if my passion, because someone's getting bored, or you know, like
in your case, Gord, because your channel,
yeah,
your channel is based on your name. So because of that, in your case, that gives you tons of room to move in any direction that you want to, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But for, let's say that you, yeah, let's say, and this is the really important part of making sure that you are, excuse me, that you're making sure that you are naming your channel in a way that makes sense also. Because like, if you, Gord, if your channel would have been like, you know, Camtasia tips, then it would create an entirely different situation that you're going to have to deal with.
Right.
But because you went with your name, that gives you tons of flexibilities to literally take the channel any direction that you want to go, anytime that you want to go there. Right.
Absolutely.
So what I would say in terms of if you should pivot or not is, you know, are you getting bored? Are you getting bored? Is everything just getting kind of stagnant in terms of people aren't responding to what it is that you're doing? I mean, you know, it took you a little bit to get to 1,000. But once you crossed 1,000, you've added an additional 1,000 really fast.
Yeah.
So that tells you that people are still into what it is that you're doing on you know, with Camtasia, you know? Yeah. So because of that, people are still responding to what it is that you're doing. But what I would do is I would say, okay, one, am I bored? Two, is there a way that I can scale things up a little bit? And if the answer is yes, and the requirement for that is to start covering another piece of software, something else that's complementary to Camtasia in your specific case, then I would definitely start walking down that path if you're trying to, you know, increase your rate of growth.
Oh yeah, I mean, I see there are so many ways to diversify and build on what I'm doing. I mean, I did a few, for example, product reviews, and app reviews. Like I did a Legend app review, and I've got some very good rankings and success in those things. Like I see there's just so much to bring to the community. You know, Camtasia is just the you know, the video editing and creative part there, and where you sort of execute on showing your story and your creative skills and your editing. But like I said, I'm servicing whatever it is you want to do with video and how to succeed to make it work in your business, whether to help with leads and generation there, or utilize YouTube as part of that platform building for you. So the opportunity is huge. It's a matter of, for me, I think managing that diversity of growth and keeping, you know, most people happy. And I look to, you know, see how Roberto Blake executed on how he services so many different areas, and how he fits into his big overall business strategies with multiple businesses, you know, his Create Awesome community, his digital media company.
Right. With Roberto, he's covering the umbrella of essentially, you know, creative expression, be that video, be it written, be it, you know, photo, be it graphics. So like I was saying before, as far as working within that umbrella of video that you're trying to do, he's doing that in terms of, you know, of helping creative people. Whatever your creative outlet is, Roberto's got something for you, and he can help you improve it. You know what I mean? So with that, he's winning, and he's also working that into all of the different businesses that he's doing as well.
Absolutely. And so there's different ways to make it happen. And I'm saying, you know, some people come with already at the get-go with a very clear, clean hyper focus, and then there's others that, like me, that need some form of diversity in what they're doing to enjoy it. But I think from the get-go, I had this strategy, and it's just figuring out how to balance the moves and the pivoting along the way. Did you ever have, you know, you had your other channel that you were doing, and now you have this one where you've done your deep dive and done awesomely well. Do you feel there's any nuances or changes or pivoting? Like how are you adjusting in what you're doing as you go forward. So I'm just curious to know, like, how do you look at how you position and what you're tweaking?
Yeah, what I'm doing is one, there's people that are doing a lot of, like, I'm getting a lot of copycat stuff going on right now. And because of that, I'm trying to think of how to using Brian's word here, how to amplify my stuff so that they're going to have even a harder time trying to copy, the way that I'm doing things, because, like there's people that are, like copying my thumbnails and, like that are trying to move into the space. They're like copying my thumbnails, copying the way that, I do certain things. And I get messages about that all the time and things like that from other people. So because of that, I'm like, okay, well, if they're noticing this, then I'm definitely also, noticing this. So I need to find a way to define myself even more, so that it's going to create that larger gap, so to speak. So for me, it's focusing on amplifying what I'm already doing in terms of making it harder for people to do the same thing. And I'm also considering mixing in a little bit of additional type of content besides just YouTube specific stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure which direction I'm going to go yet, but I'm considering creating an additional thing to where it would still be relevant to content creators, but it's not going to be specifically about YouTube. So that's what I'm thinking in terms of a pivot. So I'll still be doing all the YouTube stuff, but in addition to that, maybe an extra upload a week or something like that, to where I talk about, maybe the problems or the struggles that we have as creators in general, like that kind of stuff, to where it still applies, but it's just not specific. Hey, if you want to increase more watch time, you do this, and this, right? So it's not that kind of stuff, but it's more about the emotional side of being a creator.
Yeah, and the soft skills side too, right, is what you're saying, right? And so that's why the topic we covered today, I consider very much in that domain. And to me, that gives you another dimension to how you're helping people, and I think that's so core. And there's a lot of us out here, Nick, looking to see, wow, like, Nick's capable of so much. Look at him; he's doing, so many different podcasts. You're working with Jeremy Vest in the VidPow community, and you're doing
for Tube Talk. Shout out to Jeremy and Tube Talk.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love the interviews that you're doing there with great people, and there's so much more dimension we're starting to see from Nick. So you're actually fulfilling some of that stuff right now. It may not be specifically on your channel, but it's all part of your bigger picture strategy for exposure, right? Yes.
Yeah, like for me, like I said, focusing on the content for me is where the win is, because with that, with everything, with every single video, every single podcast, every single anything that any of us put out, that's one more chance of getting in front of that one person that might offer you something awesome, right? That might be like, hey, I love your stuff. Watching your videos, looks great, sounds great. Your message is killer. I want to work with you on this particular thing, right?
Right. And so, I mean, if it's one thing, big message that I've taken home today is I need to be sure to make sure that my priority of getting, a core piece of relevant content that keeps my audience, I don't want to use the word fed, but happy. I'll call it happy. And that's where I know when I do my deep dive tutorial style things, I feel I just created another great piece of evergreen content. And that's what really makes me feel good inside, because I've had many people say, I play your videos over and over again when I need to tune up on this and that, and that tells me it's working. But sometimes it's tough because I've had to evolve a lot in the process of making that kind of content in order to get quicker. I now can work with an outline, and after I've sort of choreographed, worked out the examples and how things are going to come together, I can more free flow with it. Whereas before, I literally choreographed a complete narration, scripted, and then
same boat, man. I'm right there with you.
Had to right there. I was the same.
I was the same way, man. Like I used to write word for word, jokes, everything, right? Like it was like word for word, this is what I'm going to say. I would look at it, I would look at it here on my notebook at the time, because I didn't have a tablet at the time. So I'm looking at it on my notebook, and then I look at or my laptop, either one. And then I look at the camera, and then I say whatever it is I'm going to say. And then I look at it, and then just keep going back and forth. And then eventually losing that, It was so uncomfortable. Like that was almost as uncomfortable as going on camera in the first place, right?
Yeah.
But losing that and saying, you know what, I'm going to make a few videos here to where I'm just going off of bullet points and see if I can pull this off. Because one, it's going to speed up my workflow like crazy. And two, maybe I'll come up with some good stuff while I'm actually saying it, right? And once I started doing that, I made a couple of videos where I didn't even make them public because I was just kind of like, it's just not there yet. And then I made one video. I can't remember the exact video, but Brian G, who's in the chat right now, he hit me up and he's like, dude, that's it. Like whatever you're doing right there, do that. Do more of that. And what it was I lost the script and I got comfortable with, after making a handful of videos, I got comfortable with just going for it in terms of bullet points. And by doing that, it made my communication to the camera, to essentially to the people that I'm talking to on the other side of the lens, it made that communication a lot more authentic and people responded to it.
So that's very similar to what you were saying to me when we first met at Vid Summit, right? And I remember we're walking along the street, Nick needed his coffee, and then I don't know, we had talked for like a half an hour, 40 minutes, and then you like stopped me in my tracks and said, dude, you got to change what you're doing because this is what the people need to see. And it's for me, it's been a challenge of confidence and letting go. And there's so many, that's why I'm saying, you know, aside from having our vision of our niche and our focus and what we want to do and execute, there are a lot of these internal soft skills that we need to figure out. And it's great to have mentors and people like you and Brian that have helped me. And it just makes me feel as a YouTuber, as a small YouTuber, comfortable to take the risks and put myself out there, because you know a lot of you guys do so much for all of us, and sort of like you have our backs in a way. You throw a suggestion here or there, you check up on us, and you know that's what really amazed me about that Vid Summit experience, and being able how easygoing and cool the people are, and care, and I just love the way you do that and serve everybody. So
thank you.
And yes, thank you. And I've been just so happy and pleased to see that we've had such great participation in the chat. And I know I need to learn more about how to serve the people and communicate better and bring things. But I want everyone to know, but this is exactly what this challenge I took on for myself personally has done. It's made me want to step up. And here I am doing this, and Nick was gracious to come, and now I'll be better each time out, and so I'm really excited for that. And I go, Nick, like my voice is dried out, and I sit here and I go, yeah, I haven't seen you take a sip of coffee, which has the reverse effect for hydration.
The reverse effect, yeah. I've taken I've crushed pretty much the whole coffee. Hold on.
And I haven't even taken
coffee
a sip.
Is now complete.
And for me, it's like breathing. I have to remember to breathe because I'm so like in the moment of enjoyment that I don't think about the other things that I need. But now I can feel my vocal cords going at another level. And thank you. Like Joe Roderick says, I'm doing great. He's only just discovered me and enjoyed listening. Well, it's a pleasure to serve, and thank you, Brian, for being there. And I want to share with everybody that next Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, I'm going to have a chat with Brian. Our topic's yet to be determined, but I'm really excited about that because he's been, coach and mentor to me, and I'm really going to come up with something special because I feel I kind of have a little spiritual connection of what Mr. B to the G is about, so I'm going to find something juicy to dig deep in and have some fun with it with everybody, and I'm really excited about that. And I'm marching towards February 19th to execute on trying to do more of this kind of experience to help people see that you can get outside of your comfort zone like I am, and that it's cool, and you're not going to get bitten. I bite. It's our own mindset, as Professor Nez would say, right? It's the internal doubter that comes in sometimes to go give us our own sort of pullback rather than the audience out there. So it's all sort of self-inflicted often, and you never know till you try.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say. And so
Yeah, Coldplay, don't they? Coldplay has a thing in their song about, you know, you'll never try if you or if you never try, you'll never know.
Absolutely.
Right. And like I was saying when we first started this out, you know, like in thanks Onyx, I appreciate it. Like in the you know, like in the thing with me, like if I wouldn't have made that video, then you know, then I wouldn't have had the ability to reach and help, you know, so many people and just have, you know, any type of influence or impact in the lives of others in the way that I have. So, you know, being courageous, like you're talking about, Gord, you know, being courageous and just saying, you know what, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to push past all of these things. I'm going to push past, you know, if it's the script thing, I'm going to push past that. If it's going on camera, I'm going to push past that. If it's making that pivot in the type of content that you make so that you can be excited to make it more, then, hey, I'm going to make that pivot and I'm going to do that. You know, like just pushing through all of those barriers along the process. Like that's how you win, is you're just constantly working on self-improvement and beating those fears that all of us have and that we all have to overcome as part of this process.
That's so true. And what a great way to sort of end our conversation. And Nick, share with everybody where to look out for you, and share something that's cool up next. I hear you're also doing a bunch of conferences this year. So that,
yeah. So first you can find me at nicknimmin.com. You can also find me at my web store at tubertools.com. I've got a membership site there as well. Definitely sign up for that if you haven't yet. You can also find me at youtube.com/Nick Nimmin, or just type Nick Nimmin in Google and all roads lead to Rome, so to speak. I'm also speaking at Video Marketing World workshop or conference and workshop in Dallas, Texas in August. So if you're in the Texas area, definitely show up for that. I would love to grab coffee with you. Also speaking at Vid Summit in October as well. So that's going to be in LA. Would love to grab a coffee with you there as well. And I'm going to be going to VidCon in, I think it's June. So that's going to be in Anaheim, California. So if you are in that particular area, or if you're heading to VidCon, then I'll definitely hook up with you there.
That's awesome. What a difference a year makes, Nick. You're on
a
lot of road tour.
You know, it's crazy. You know, it's crazy, Gord, is like with that whole thing, right? Like there's people that are listening to this right now, or people that are watching this right now, or people that are going to watch this on the replay, or people that are just creating out there right now. And what they're doing right now, like they have no idea the humongous difference that 365 days can make. You know, they're just plugging away. Hey, you know, right now I'm getting a little bit of momentum. Things are kind of going the right way. But man, you know, like once you get that momentum going and everything starts to lift, it's a year can make a crazy difference. Gord, you just crossed 2,000 subscribers, right? Yep. So
my lift started. So I mean, more than ever since about November, where there's been some external websites starting to recognize me. My watch time is increasing, my sub rate of growth, and I'm getting a lot more connections. So yeah, I mean, and I didn't know, and it's taken me quite a while to start to get this kind of you know, I'll call it success or momentum, and I'm grateful. And so I used to think more limited in terms of what my potential was just based on my pace. We don't really know. Did you know you'd be here? But hold on. I just want to back this up for a second. I used to think in terms of I used to think limiting in terms of that, right? Yeah. So now you stopped thinking in that way, and you've been able to achieve a little bit more, right? Absolutely. Open up your brain to the possibility that this time next year, that it is a very, very realistic things. All it takes is just a small handful of videos that perform well. Open up your idea, or open up your mind to the idea, to the possibility that this time next year, it is, without question, it is possible that you can have that big growth to where you're listen to me, that big growth to where you are achieving those things that you're setting out to do right now. A year can make an extreme difference, and opening your brain up to that possibility that it is possible is a huge part of doing it. One of the things that I always talk about in my videos, Gord, is
if you want to be a big YouTube creator, if you want to be a content creator of a certain size, make that content now like you're already there. Own that position, right? Own that position and say, you know what? I'm where I want to be now. So I'm going to make my content that way. I'm going to approach the camera that way. I'm going to communicate with people that way. And I'm going to basically run my whole show like I'm there already. And when you do that, one, you're opening yourself up to the possibility. Two, people respond to that. And like Brian's saying in the chat right now, videos, videos. You know, that's another part of it. Absolutely. You know, like right now you're here. This is where you want to be. The only thing in between is time and videos. That's it. That's the only thing separating you from, you know, from right now, from here is time and videos. That's it. So you just got to put in the work, you know, keep that schedule going, keep cranking out that content, and you know, you can get it. Lily Tree says, just dress for the job you want. Absolutely. It's a fantastic way to do it. Yeah.
I better get busy making more videos.
Yeah.
Well, I got busy making more live streams, so now I got to find to bring both shores up, and that's why I took the challenge on. I'm so excited. Thank you for all that encouragement, Nick, and all the great lessons that we shared today. And thank you all, everybody, for just, you know, participating and being present here. It makes me feel so much better that I'm in the right direction, and the fact that people like Nick are giving and participating in this way. So I look forward to doing a lot more of this kind of thing in the future to complement what I'm putting out, because I think there's a lot we can share, all of us together on the journey. And we'll see you next time. And I can be found at my website, gordisman.com, or my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Gord Isman. And I look forward to seeing you all very soon. And thank you, Nick.
And thanks everybody for hanging out in the live stream. It's been awesome, you know, answering some questions here and there, and just seeing everybody chat in the live stream and all that. It's been fantastic. So thanks for swinging by. Thanks for hanging out with us during our conversation here, and we hope that you have learned something in some way, or maybe been inspired in some way, or maybe you know, hopefully, you know, we've you know, encouraged you to hop over a hurdle that you currently have. So keep doing your thing, keep creating.
Cheers, everybody. Bye bye.